The ground shook under Commander Jiwan's feet as another plasma blast hit the shield generator. She pressed her back against the concrete wall and looked at her watch. 3 hours until dawn. 3 hours until the final attack would come. Status report. She called into her radio. Shield at 40%, came the voice of Engineer Young-ho. I can maybe give you 2 more hours if I reroute power from the water recycling system. Do it, Jiwan said without thinking twice. Water did not matter if they were all dead by morning. She ran across the courtyard to the command center. Plasma fire lit up the dark sky above New Seoul Station like deadly fireworks. The alien ships hung in space like metal demons, waiting to finish what they started. Captain Minho landed his shuttle hard on the platform nearby. His uniform was torn and covered in dust. Blood ran down his left arm, but he was still moving. That was good enough. How many? Jiwan asked as he climbed out. 50 more civilians safe in the deep bunkers, Minho said. But that transport to the northern mines got hit. No survivors. Jiwan felt her stomach drop. 200 people on that transport, families, children. She pushed the feeling down. There was no time for grief now. The last evacuation ship? She asked, loading now. 300 children and elderly. They'll be ready to launch in 2 hours. Good, make sure they get out. Dr. Hyeri's voice came over the radio. Command, I need more medical supplies in Bunker 7. We have 30 wounded down here. Negative, Jiwan replied. All remaining supplies go to the surface defenses. These people will die without treatment. We'll all die if the defense fails. The radio went quiet. Jiwan knew Hyeri was angry, but the doctor would understand. She always did. Lieutenant Daeho appeared beside her holding a data pad. His young face looked tired and scared. He had been sending distress calls for 3 days straight. Any response to our signals? Jiwan asked. Nothing, Daeho said quietly. The Altarian fleet sent a message 12 hours ago. They cannot send help. The nearest Allied forces are 3 weeks away. 3 weeks. They would be lucky to last 3 more hours. Keep broadcasting, she ordered. Someone might hear us. The Vorthak had come without warning. One day, New Seoul Station was a peaceful mining colony at the edge of known space. The next day, 12 alien warships appeared in orbit and demanded surrender. When the colonists refused, the bombardment began. The Altarian Defense Force had sent 3 destroyers to help. All 3 ships were destroyed in the first day of fighting. Now 50,000 civilians depended on 200 defenders and whatever weapons they could find. Jiwan walked to the observation deck and looked up at the alien ships. The Vorthak were known across the galaxy as slavers. They took prisoners to work in their mines and factories. Death might be better than what they had planned. Commander, called Young-ho over the radio. I need to talk to you. She found the engineer in the power station beneath the main building. Young-ho was 35 years old with steady hands and a calm mind. His wife Yoonji worked in logistics and their 6-year-old son Jiho was on the evacuation ship that would launch soon. The shield generator is failing faster than I thought, Young-ho said. The aliens are using some kind of focused beam that targets our power systems. I can give you maybe 90 minutes, not 2 hours. Can you fix it? Not with what we have. I would need parts from the mining equipment, but that's all outside the shield perimeter. Jiwan thought for a moment. What if someone went out to get the parts? Suicide mission. The aliens have sensors watching everything outside the shield. But possible. Young-ho nodded slowly. Possible. But whoever goes won't come back. Above them, another plasma blast shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling like snow. In the medical center, Dr. Hyeri worked without stopping. She was 28 years old and had come to New Seoul Station to help miners with lung problems. Now she was treating plasma burns and broken bones from the constant bombardment. Doctor, said Nurse Ki-hoon, we're running low on pain medication. Use what we have for the worst cases, Hyeri replied. The others will have to wait. She looked at the wounded people around her. Miners, shopkeepers, teachers, farmers. None of them were soldiers, but they had all volunteered to fight. They knew what would happen if the Vorthak won. A young girl, maybe 10 years old, sat in the corner holding her injured mother's hand. The girl's name was So-young, and she should have been on the evacuation ship. But her mother was too hurt to move, so So-young stayed. Will the bad aliens go away? So-young asked. Hyeri knelt down beside her. Yes, she lied. Everything will be okay. In the communications room, Daeho sent the same message over and over. This is New Seoul Station. We are under attack by Vorthak forces. 50,000 civilians need immediate assistance. Please respond. Only silence came back. He tried different frequencies in different languages. Human, Altarian, even the old trade language that merchants used. Nothing worked. "This is New Sol Station," he said again. "We are human colonists. The Vorthak Empire is attacking us. We have children here. Please, someone help us." Still nothing. Minho prepared his shuttle for what might be the last flight. The small ship had light weapons and thin armor. Against the alien fighters, it would not last long. But every minute he could keep fighting was another minute for the evacuation ship to get ready. His sister Hieri was still in the medical center. He wanted to see her before the fighting started, but there was no time. If they both survived the night, they could talk then. As the first light of dawn appeared on the horizon, Commander Jiwon gathered her defenders in the main courtyard. 200 people stood before her. Most were not soldiers. Shop owner Sunho held an old hunting rifle. Teacher Minji carried a plasma pistol she barely knew how to use. "The aliens will attack when the sun comes up," Jiwon told them. "We can't win this fight, but we can give the evacuation ship time to escape. 300 children and elderly people are counting on us." She looked at each face in the crowd. These people had chosen to stay and fight instead of running. They knew they would probably die, but they stayed anyway. "Today we show the galaxy that humans don't give up," she said. "No matter how bad things get, we protect our families. We protect our people." The shield generator hummed loudly above them, struggling to keep working. Soon it would fail completely. Then the real battle would begin. In space, the Vorthak ships moved into attack formation. The final assault was about to start. War Commander Thexville stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the human colony through the main viewing screen. The aliens looked like giant insects with forearms and black eyes that never blinked. Their skin was dark green and covered in hard plates like armor. "The humans still refuse to surrender," reported his second-in-command. Thexville clicked his mandibles together, which was how his species showed annoyance. "Foolish creatures. Do they not understand they cannot win? Perhaps they are too primitive to recognize superior force." "No," Thexville said thoughtfully. "I have studied their military records. Humans are not stupid. They know they will die, but they fight anyway." This puzzled him. Most species surrendered when defeat was certain. It was logical. The strong took what they wanted and the weak submitted. This was the natural order of things, but humans seemed to follow different rules. "Shall we begin the final assault?" his officer asked. "Not yet. Let them think about death for a few more hours. Fear makes slaves more obedient." On the planet's surface, engineer Young-ho crawled through the maintenance tunnels beneath the shield generator. Sparks flew from damaged cables and the air smelled like burning metal. The alien weapons were designed to target power systems, and they were very good at it. "Yunji, can you hear me?" He called into his radio. "I'm here," came his wife's voice. "How bad is it?" "Bad. The main coupling is completely fried. Without replacement parts, we have maybe 1 hour left. The evacuation ship needs 2 hours to launch safely." Young-ho closed his eyes. Mathematics was simple and cruel. They needed 2 hours but only had 1. Someone would have to go outside the shield to get parts from the mining equipment. "I'll do it," he said. "No," Yunji replied immediately. "Jiho needs his father. Jiho needs to escape alive. If the shield fails before the ship launches, everyone dies." He could hear his wife crying on the other end of the radio. Their son was only 6 years old. If Young-ho died today, the boy would grow up without a father. If Young-ho did nothing, the boy would not grow up at all. "I love you," Yunji whispered. "I love you too. Take care of our son." Pilot Sang-hoon was thinking about the same problem. He sat in his fighter craft looking at the mining charges loaded in the cargo bay. Enough explosives to badly damage an alien ship if he could get close enough. The plan was simple and impossible. Fly straight at the alien command ship, avoiding their weapons long enough to ram into their bridge. The explosion might disable their targeting systems and give the evacuation ship a chance. Sang-hoon was 24 years old. He had joined the Colonial Defense Force to protect people, not to die in hopeless battles. But sometimes protecting people meant dying for them. He started his engines and contacted the command center. "This is Sang-hoon. I'm ready for the suicide run." "Negative," came Commander Jiwon's voice. "Wait for my signal." "Commander, with respect, every minute we wait makes this harder." "I said wait." Sang-hoon understood. Jiwon was hoping for a miracle that would not come. She did not want to send him to die until there was no other choice. In the medical center, Dr. Harry made a discovery that would change everything. She was treating a wounded defender named Chanwu, who had been hit by alien energy weapons. The weapon should have killed him instantly, but he was still alive and conscious. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Terrible headache, but I can think clearly," Chanwu said. "Is that normal?" Harry frowned. According to medical records, Vorthak neural disruptors caused immediate brain death in most species. But Chanwu's brain scans showed only minor damage. She checked the medical files of other wounded humans. All of them had survived direct hits from neural disruptors. Some had headaches or temporary confusion, but none had died from brain damage. This was important, very important. "Lieutenant Deho," she called on the radio. "I need you to add something to our distress signals." "What kind of something?" "Medical data. Humans seem to have natural resistance to Vorthak neural weapons. Other species might want to know this." Deho was quiet for a moment. "You think that information might bring help?" "I don't know, but it's worth trying." While Hayeri worked on her medical report, Teacher Minji helped organize the civilian defenders. Most of them had never held weapons before. Shop owner Sunho's hands shook when he tried to aim his rifle. Farmer Dojin kept forgetting to turn off his weapon's safety. "Remember," Minji told them, "aim for the center of the alien's body. Don't try to be fancy. Just point and shoot." These people were scared, but they were also determined. Their families were in the evacuation ship. Their friends and neighbors were counting on them. Fear was natural, but running away was not an option. Young So-young sat with her injured mother in the medical center. The 10-year-old girl should have been on the evacuation ship, but she refused to leave her mother behind. "I'm scared," So-young whispered. "It's okay to be scared," her mother said. "Brave people are scared too. They just don't let fear stop them from doing what's right." "Are the bad aliens really going to hurt everyone?" Her mother looked around the medical center. She saw Dr. Hieri working to save lives. She saw wounded defenders who would fight again as soon as they could stand. She saw ordinary people doing extraordinary things. "Maybe," her mother said. "But if they do, they'll have to fight for it." Lieutenant Deho updated the distress signal with Dr. Hieri's medical data. He sent it on every frequency he could access in every language he knew. "This is New Seoul Station calling any ship or station. We are under attack by Vorthak Empire forces. 50,000 human civilians need immediate assistance. Military note. Humans show resistance to Vorthak neural disruptor weapons. Repeat, humans have resistance to neural disruptors. Please respond." The signal traveled out into space at the speed of light. It passed by empty regions where no one lived. It reached automated relay stations that recorded the message and sent it further. It spread across the galaxy like ripples in a pond. Most governments that received the signal did nothing. New Seoul Station was too far away and too small to matter. The message was filed away and forgotten. But somewhere in the darkness between stars, the signal found someone who was listening. Captain Minho checked his shuttle one last time. The small ship had taken damage during the evacuation flights, but it could still fly and fight. The weapons were not powerful enough to seriously hurt the alien ships, but they might distract them long enough for others to escape. He thought about his sister Hieri, still treating patients in the medical center. She had always been the smart one in the family, the one who became a doctor while he learned to fly spaceships. Now they were both fighting the same war in different ways. The radio crackled with Commander Jiwon's voice. "All units, prepare for final defensive positions. The shield generator will fail in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Not enough time for the evacuation ship to launch safely." Engineer Young-ho gathered his tools and explosives. The mining equipment they needed was 200 meters outside the shield perimeter, 200 meters through alien sensor fields and automated weapons. He kissed the picture of his family that he kept in his toolkit. Yoon-ji and little Ji-ho, smiling at a family picnic last summer. That seemed like a lifetime ago. "This is Young-ho," he reported. "I'm going after those parts now." "Understood," Ji-won replied. Good luck. Luck would not be enough. But sometimes people had to try anyway. As the sun climbed higher in the morning sky, both sides prepared for the final battle. The humans had courage and desperation. The aliens had superior numbers and technology. War Commander Thexval gave his final orders. "Begin the assault. But remember, we want slaves, not corpses. Try to take as many alive as possible." The alien ships moved into attack formation, energy weapons charged with deadly light. On the surface, Commander Ji-won watched the shield generator's power readings drop towards zero. Soon the protective barrier would fail completely. Then there would be nothing between 50,000 civilians and the most ruthless species in the galaxy. The shield generator made a sound like dying metal as its power systems failed one by one. Commander Ji-won stood in the command center, watching the energy readings drop below critical levels. 15 minutes until complete failure, maybe less. "Evacuation ship status," she called into her radio. "Still loading," came Captain Minho's voice. "We need at least 45 minutes, 45 minutes. They had 15. The mathematics of survival had never been crueler. Engineer Young-ho crawled through the access tunnel toward the shield perimeter. His backpack was filled with tools and explosives. The plan was desperate but simple. Create enough chaos outside the shield to distract the alien sensors, then grab the parts he needed from the damaged mining equipment. He reached the tunnel exit and looked out at the wasteland beyond the shield. The aliens had turned the ground into black glass with their weapons. Twisted metal from destroyed buildings stuck up like broken teeth. Nothing moved except the heat waves rising from the scorched earth. "Yoonji," he whispered into his radio. "Tell Jiho that Daddy loves him very much." "I will," his wife replied. Her voice was steady, but Young-ho knew she was crying. "Come back to us. I'll try," but they both knew he would not be coming back. Dr. Hyeri finished her medical report and sent it to Lieutenant Daeho. The data about human resistance to Vorthak neural weapons might be important to someone somewhere. Even if it could not save New Seoul Station, it might help others. She looked around the medical center at the wounded defenders. Farmer Dojin had a broken arm but insisted he could still fight. Shop owner Sunho's burns were healing faster than expected. Teacher Minji had a concussion but was already planning to return to the defensive positions. These people were not soldiers, but they had something the aliens did not understand. They refused to quit, even when quitting made sense. 10-year-old So-young helped her injured mother sit up so she could drink water. The little girl had been offered places on 3 different evacuation flights, but she would not leave her mother behind. "Are you scared of the bad aliens?" So-young asked Dr. Hyeri. "Yes," Hyeri admitted. "I'm very scared." "But you're still helping people. Being scared doesn't mean we stop doing what's right." So-young nodded seriously. At 10 years old, she understood things that some adults never learned. In the communications room, Lieutenant Daeho continued broadcasting their distress signal. He had been sending the same message for days, but no help had come. The major governments were too far away or too busy with their own problems. "This is New Seoul Station calling any ship or station," he said for the 1,000th time. "We are under attack by Vorthak Empire forces. 50,000 human civilians need immediate assistance. We have discovered that humans show resistance to Vorthak neural disruptor weapons. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help now." The signal traveled out into the void, carrying the desperate hope of an entire colony. Most of the galaxy ignored it, but somewhere in the darkness between stars, someone was listening very carefully. Admiral Kang Taejin received the distress signal aboard the Human Colonial Defense Corps, Dreadnought Seoul's Pride. The ship was at the edge of human space, 3 weeks away from New Seoul Station by normal hyperspace routes. "Sir," called Navigation Officer Suji, "we've been monitoring this signal for 2 days. The colony is too far away for us to reach in time." Taejun studied the star charts on his command screen. She was right. By the time they arrived, everyone would be dead or enslaved. Military logic said to ignore the signal and continue their patrol. But military logic did not account for what Taejun felt when he listened to the colonists' final messages. Ordinary people facing impossible odds, refusing to surrender, protecting their families with their lives. "Chief Engineer Warship," he called. "What's our maximum hyperspace velocity if we ignore safety protocols?" "Sir, that would be extremely dangerous." "The ship could be torn apart." "I didn't ask about danger. I asked about speed." Warship hesitated. "If we use the experimental hyperspace corridors and push our engines past the red line, we might cut the travel time to 6 hours. But the risk, prepare for emergency jump," Taejin ordered. "All ships." "Sir, regulations require authorization from Colonial Command for experimental hyperspace maneuvers. There's no time for authorization. 50,000 civilians are about to die." His bridge crew looked uncertain. What he was proposing could destroy all 3 ships and kill everyone aboard. It violated numerous safety regulations and direct orders, but they were human, and humans had never been good at abandoning their own people. On Kepler 442b, engineer Young-ho crawled out of the access tunnel and into hell. The ground outside the shield was still hot from the alien bombardment. His boots smoked as he ran toward the damaged mining equipment. Alien sensors immediately detected him. Warning lights flashed on the Vorthak ships in orbit. Automated weapons swiveled to track his movement. Young-ho reached the first piece of mining equipment and started removing the power coupling he needed. Plasma bolts began hitting the ground around him, turning sand into glass. He worked faster, his hands steady despite the death falling from the sky. Target acquired, he reported into his radio. Starting extraction. The coupling was stuck. Years of mining dust had fused it to the equipment frame. Young-ho pulled out his plasma cutter and began burning through the metal. More weapons fired at him from orbit. The aliens were taking their time, playing with him. They knew he could not escape, so they were enjoying the hunt. Almost got it, Young-ho said. Sweat poured down his face as he worked. The plasma cutter was not designed for this kind of precision work, but it was all he had. The coupling came free just as an alien dropship appeared overhead. Vorthak soldiers were coming down to capture him alive. Young-ho smiled grimly and activated the explosives in his backpack. The explosion lit up the morning sky like a small sun. When the light faded, there was nothing left but a smoking crater and the parts Young-ho had died to obtain. He did it, Engineer Ki-hoon said over the radio. The parts are intact. I can repair the shield generator. Commander Ji-won felt a strange mixture of grief and hope. Young-ho was dead, but his sacrifice might give them the time they needed. She sent 2 volunteers to recover the parts while the aliens were still confused by the explosion. Captain Minho prepared his shuttle for what might be the final flight. The small ship's weapons were not powerful enough to seriously damage the alien vessels. But every second he could keep their attention was another second for the evacuation ship to prepare. His sister Hieri was still in the medical center, refusing to leave her patients. Minho wanted to see her one more time, but there was no opportunity. If they both survived the day, they could talk then. This is Minho, he reported. Ready for combat launch. Hold position until the shield fails completely, Ji-won ordered. Then give us everything you've got. The shield generator hummed back to life as the new parts were installed. Engineer Ki-hoon worked with desperate speed, his hands moving faster than thought. They had bought maybe 30 minutes, but it was 30 minutes more than they had before. In the medical center, Dr. Hieri recorded a final message for her parents on Earth. She had not seen them in 5 years, choosing to work on the frontier colonies instead of staying home safely. Mom, Dad, if you receive this message, it means New Sol Station has fallen. I want you to know that I don't regret coming here. These people needed help and I was able to give it. That's what you taught me to do. Help people who need it even when it's dangerous. She paused, listening to the sound of weapons fire outside. I hope someone learns from our medical data about the Vorthak weapons. Maybe it will help other colonies defend themselves. Maybe our deaths will save lives somewhere else. Teacher Minji gathered the civilian defenders for final instructions. These farmers and shopkeepers and mechanics had become soldiers through necessity. They were still scared, but they were also determined. Remember, she told them, we're not trying to win this fight. We're trying to buy time. Every minute we hold out is another minute for the children to escape. Shop owner Sunho checked his old hunting rifle one more time. He had used it to hunt deer in the forests outside the colony. Now he would use it to hunt aliens. I've never shot at anything that could shoot back, he admitted. None of us have, Minji replied. But we'll figure it out. Farmer Dojin nodded agreement. His broken arm was in a medical brace, but he could still pull a trigger with his good hand. My grandfather fought in the colonial wars. He always said that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you are afraid. The shield generator flickered as alien weapons focused their fire on the power systems. The new parts were holding, but they would not hold forever. Lieutenant Deho sent one final message into space. This is New Sol Station. We have maybe 1 hour left before our defenses fail completely. If anyone receives this signal, please remember that humans died here fighting for their families. Remember that we never gave up. The message traveled out into the void, carrying the last words of a doomed colony. But this time, someone was close enough to answer. New Sol Station, this is Admiral Tajin of the Human Colonial Defense Corps. We are coming. Deho nearly fell out of his chair when he heard the response. He had been sending distress calls for days with no answer. The Sol's pride shuddered as it entered the experimental hyperspace corridor. Admiral Tajin gripped his command chair while reality twisted around them. The laws of physics bent and screamed as 3 human ships pushed themselves beyond safe limits. Hull stress at 120%, reported Chief Engineer Warship. "We're in the red zone, sir. Can the ship hold together?" Tajin asked. "I honestly don't know. We've never tried anything like this before." The dreadnought's massive engines roared with power that should have been impossible. Beside it, the cruiser's Busan's hammer and Inchin's shield struggled to match the flagship's desperate pace. "Navigation, how are we doing?" Taijin called. Navigation Officer Suji studied her instruments with worry. "We're making good time, but the hyperspace currents are unstable. One wrong calculation and we could end up scattered across 3 star systems. Then don't make a wrong calculation." The bridge crew worked with the kind of focused intensity that came from knowing lives depended on their performance. Every engineer, every navigator, every weapons officer understood that 50,000 people were counting on them. Dr. Junho, the fleet's xenobiologist, studied the medical data that Dr. Hyeri had transmitted from New Seoul Station. The information about human resistance to Vorthak neural weapons was fascinating and potentially game-changing. "Admiral," he called from his science station, "this data suggests that humans have a natural immunity to the aliens' most effective weapons." "Explain." "The Vorthak neural disruptors work by disrupting brain electrical patterns. Most known species have similar neural architectures, so the weapons are universally effective. But human brains develop differently due to Earth's unique electromagnetic environment." Tajin absorbed this information. "So we have an advantage?" "A significant one. The aliens' primary weapon against infantry won't work on us. This changed everything. If human troops could resist neural disruptors, they could fight the Vorthak on more equal terms than anyone had realized." "Prepare all Marine squads for planetary assault," Tajin ordered, "and send this medical data to Colonial Command immediately. Other colonies need to know." The Soul's Pride continued its desperate journey through folded space. The ship's hull groaned under stresses it was never designed to handle. In the engine rooms, human engineers performed miracles of improvisation to keep the systems running. "Sir," called Weapons Officer Ji-hyun, "we're detecting massive energy signatures ahead." "The Kepler system is under heavy bombardment." "How much longer?" Tajin asked Navigation. 15 minutes if the engines don't explode first." On Kepler 442b, the shield generator finally gave up. The protective barrier flickered and died, leaving New Seoul Station exposed to the alien fleet. Commander Ji-won watched the energy readings drop to 0 and felt her heart sink. "All units, the shield is down," she announced. "Prepare for ground assault." War Commander Thexval saw the human defenses collapse and clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. "Begin the final attack. Deploy ground forces to capture as many slaves as possible." Vorthak dropships descended from orbit like metal insects. Their weapons blazed as they strafed the colony's defensive positions. The aliens were confident now. Victory was within reach. Captain Minho launched his shuttle as the first alien ships entered the atmosphere. The small craft's weapons were pathetic compared to the enemy vessels, but he attacked anyway. His plasma cannon scored hits on one dropship, causing it to crash into the wasteland outside the colony. "One down," he reported grimly, engaging the next target, but there were too many. For every alien ship he damaged, 3 more took its place. The shuttle's shields failed under concentrated fire, and warning alarms filled the cockpit. "Minho, get out of there," Commander Ji-won ordered over the radio. "Negative. I can still fight," his sister Hyeri's voice cut in. "Don't be stupid, brother. Land and help us with the ground defense." Minho smiled despite everything. Only Hyeri could make military orders sound like sisterly advice. He brought the damaged shuttle down in the main courtyard. Its landing gear collapsed and smoke pouring from the engines. The ground battle began as Vorthak soldiers poured out of their dropships. The aliens were 7 feet tall with 4 arms and natural armor plating. They carried energy weapons and moved with predatory grace. Teacher Minji aimed her rifle at the first alien she saw and pulled the trigger. The shot went wide, but her second attempt hit the creature in the chest. To her surprise, the alien stumbled backward, but did not fall. "They're tougher than they look," she called. To the other defenders, shop owner Sunho found that his old hunting rifle was surprisingly effective against alien armor. The solid projectiles punched through their natural plating better than energy weapons. "Use the old-style guns," he shouted. "They work better." The civilian defenders fought with desperate courage. They were not soldiers, but they were protecting their families. Farmer Dojin charged an alien position with his broken arm still in a sling. Mechanic Kijun used mining explosives to blow up an entire squad of Vortak troops. Dr. Hieri treated wounded defenders in the medical center while the battle raged outside. The aliens had surrounded the main buildings, but they were not trying to destroy everything. They wanted slaves, not corpses. "Doctor," called wounded defender Chanwu, "they're trying to get into the medical center." Hieri picked up a plasma pistol she had taken from a dead alien. She had never fired a weapon in her life, but she was about to learn. "Then we'll stop them." Young So-young helped her injured mother hide behind a medical cabinet while the fighting came closer. The 10-year-old girl was scared but determined not to cry. Her mother was too hurt to run, so So-young would protect her. Lieutenant Daeho continued broadcasting from the communications room. "Human fleet, this is New Seoul Station. We are under heavy attack. How long until you arrive?" 15 minutes, came Admiral Taejin's voice through the static. "Hold on, 15 minutes. The colonists had to survive 15 more minutes." Commander Jiwon led the final defense from the command center. Aliens poured through the broken walls while human defenders fell back step by step. She fired her weapon until it overheated, then grabbed another from a fallen soldier. "Everyone fall back to the inner buildings," she ordered. "Make them fight for every room." The Soul's Pride burst out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system with a flash that lit up the darkness. The massive ship's arrival sent energy waves across space that every sensor in the system detected. "Vorthak fleet detected," reported scanner operator Minsu. 12 ships in orbit around the 4th planet. They're bombarding the surface. Admiral Taejun studied the tactical display. The aliens had superior numbers, but they had made a crucial mistake. Most of their fleet was spread out around the planet, focused on the ground assault instead of watching for reinforcements. "Signal the Busan's hammer and Incheon's shield," he ordered. "Attack formation Delta. We're going in hard and fast." The 3 human ships accelerated toward the planet at maximum speed, their weapons charged with deadly energy as they prepared for battle. War Commander Thexavol detected the new arrivals and felt his first moment of uncertainty. 3 ships against 12 should not be a threat, but these were human vessels, and humans had already proven they did not follow logical patterns. "Deploy defensive formation," he ordered his fleet. "Intercept the human ships before they reach orbital range," but it was too late. The Soul's Pride and her escorts had used their desperate hyperspace jump to appear inside the Vorthak defensive perimeter. By the time the alien ships could react, the humans were already among them. "Fire," Admiral Taejin commanded. The Soul's Pride's main guns spoke with voices of thunder. Plasma bolts the size of buildings slammed into the nearest Vorthak cruiser, punching through its armor like paper. The alien ship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the planet's surface. "Target destroyed," Weapons Officer Jihyun reported with satisfaction. "Engaging the next ship." The Busan's hammer and Incheon's shield added their firepower to the assault. The human fleet was outnumbered 4-1, but they had achieved complete surprise. 3 more alien ships died in the first minutes of combat. On the planet's surface, Commander Jiwon saw the explosions in space and felt hope rise in her chest. "The fleet is here," she shouted over the radio. "Hold your positions. Help has arrived." The news spread through the defenders like wildfire. Suddenly, tired fighters found new strength. Shop owner Sunho charged an alien position he had been defending for hours. Teacher Minji led a counterattack that drove the invaders back from the school. But the battle was far from over. The Vorthak still had 8 ships in space and hundreds of soldiers on the ground. The war for New Seoul Station had only just begun. Dr. Hieri fired her plasma pistol at aliens trying to break into the medical center. The weapon felt strange in her hands, but she was learning quickly. "Stay behind me," she told little So-young and her mother. The girl nodded seriously. She had seen enough today to understand that sometimes doctors had to fight as well as heal. In space, Admiral Taejin watched as his ships engaged the alien fleet in a deadly dance. The humans were faster and more maneuverable, but the Vorthak had heavier armor and weapons. "This is going to be close," he muttered. The Soul's Pride rolled hard to port as a Vorthak plasma cannon nearly took off her starboard weapons array. Admiral Taejin gripped his command chair as the massive ship shuddered under alien fire. "Return fire," he ordered. "Target their command ship." Weapons Officer Jihyun sent a full spread of plasma bolts toward the alien flagship. The shots hit the Vorthak vessel's shields and lit up space with brilliant energy. Direct hit, but their shields are holding. The battle in space was brutal and fast. Human ships darted between the larger alien vessels like fighters attacking bombers. The Busan's hammer scored critical hits on 2 Vorthak cruisers before taking heavy damage to its engines. The Incheon's shield used its superior speed to stay ahead of alien weapons while raking enemy ships with plasma fire. "Sir," called scanner operator Minsu, "the Vorthak are deploying their neural disruptor grid. They're trying to disable our crews." This was the moment Admiral Tajan had been waiting for. "All hands, prepare for neural weapons. Remember, we have natural resistance." The alien neural disruptors fired in perfect synchronization. Invisible waves of energy swept across the human ships, designed to shut down the brains of every crew member instantly. Nothing happened. On the Vorthak flagship, War Commander Thexval stared at his instruments in disbelief. The neural disruptors had fired correctly, but the human ships continued fighting with perfect coordination. "Fire again," he ordered. The weapons fired a second time. Again, the humans showed no effects. "Impossible," Thexval clicked. "All organic species are vulnerable to neural disruption." His science officer studied the readings. "Commander, the humans appear to have a different neural architecture. Their brains are not affected by our weapons." For the first time in his military career, Thexval felt something he had never experienced before: fear. If neural disruptors did not work on humans, then his species' greatest advantage was useless. On the planet's surface, the same discovery was being made by Vorthak ground forces. Alien soldiers fired their neural weapons at the human defenders, expecting them to collapse instantly. Instead, the humans kept fighting. Shop owner Sunho felt a strange tingling sensation when the neural beam hit him, but his mind remained clear. "Their brain zappers don't work," he shouted to the other defenders. "Keep fighting." The news spread through the colony's defenders like wildfire. The aliens' most feared weapon was harmless to humans. Suddenly, the odds did not seem so hopeless. Dr. Hyeri protected the medical center with renewed confidence. When an alien soldier tried to use neural disruption on her, she felt only a mild headache. She responded by shooting the creature 3 times in the chest. "The neural weapons don't work on us," she called to little Soyoung and her mother. "We can beat them." Commander Jiwon led a counterattack against the aliens surrounding the command center. Her defenders moved with new courage, knowing they were immune to the enemy's primary weapon. Teacher Minji charged an alien position with her rifle blazing. Farmer Dojin threw mining explosives into enemy formations. Captain Minho abandoned his crashed shuttle and joined the ground fighting. His plasma pistol cut down aliens who had thought themselves safe behind energy shields. "This is for Young-ho," he said, remembering the engineer who had died to save them all. In space, the tide of battle was turning decisively. The human fleet pressed their advantage against increasingly desperate Vorthak ships. The Soul's Pride's main guns finally penetrated the alien flagship's shields, sending massive explosions through its hull. "Their command ship is crippled," Weapons Officer Ji-hyun reported. "Should we finish them?" Admiral Tajan thought for a moment. Destroying the flagship would end the battle, but it would also kill thousands of aliens. Even in war, unnecessary killing bothered him. "Signal the Vorthak commander," he ordered. "Offer terms for surrender." "Sir?" Ji-hyun looked surprised. "We're not butchers. Give them a chance to withdraw." On the alien flagship, War Commander Thexval received the human message with confusion. In Vorthak culture, the defeated were always destroyed or enslaved. Offering terms to an enemy was unthinkable. But his ship was dying around him. His ground forces were being overwhelmed, and the humans had proven immune to his most powerful weapons. Pride was less important than survival. "Signal the human admiral," he ordered. "I will hear his terms." Admiral Tajan's image appeared on the alien ship's main screen. Thexval studied the human commander with new respect. This was clearly a warrior, but one who chose mercy over vengeance. "You are defeated," Tajan said simply. "Withdraw your forces from this system and never return. In exchange, I will allow your ships to leave intact. And if I refuse, then I will destroy every ship in your fleet and hunt down your survivors." Thexval believed him. Humans had already proven they would fight to the death for their people. They would certainly be willing to kill for them as well. "I accept your terms," the alien commander said. "But know this, human. You have made an enemy today. The Vorthak Empire will remember this defeat." "Good," Tajan replied. "Make sure you remember why you were defeated. Your weapons don't work on us, but ours work fine on you. Spread that word to the rest of your empire." The Vorthak fleet began withdrawing from orbit. Dropships ascended from the planet's surface, carrying alien soldiers who had learned to fear human resistance. Within an hour, the entire invasion force was gone, leaving only debris and bad memories. On New Sol Station, the colonists emerged from their shelters to survey the damage. Many buildings were destroyed and too many good people had died. But they had survived. Against impossible odds, they had won. Commander Jiwan stood in the ruins of the command center and felt exhaustion wash over her. Lieutenant Deho was already sending status reports to Colonial Command. The evacuation ship had launched safely during the battle, carrying 300 children and elderly to safety. Dr. Hyeri treated wounded defenders while human colonial marine medics landed to help. The professional soldiers looked at the civilian fighters with new respect. These farmers and shopkeepers had held off a Vorthak invasion force with nothing but courage and determination. Little So-young helped her mother walk to a medical transport. The girl had seen terrible things today, but she had also seen ordinary people do extraordinary things. She would remember both lessons for the rest of her life. Admiral Tajan personally visited the colony to meet with the survivors. He walked through the damaged streets with Commander Jiwan, listening to stories of individual heroism. Engineer Young-ho's sacrifice to repair the shield generator, Captain Minho's desperate shuttle attacks, Dr. Hyeri's discovery about neural weapon resistance. You should all be proud, Taijun told the assembled colonists. You've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of when we're pushed too far. Will they come back? Asked shop owner Sunho. Not here, Taijun replied. And when word spreads about what happened, other Vorthak commanders will think twice before attacking human colonies. The truth was even bigger than that. Dr. Hyeri's medical data was already being distributed to human colonies across the galaxy. Scientists were studying why human brains were immune to neural disruptors. Military planners were developing new tactics based on this advantage. The Vorthak Empire had picked the wrong species to enslave. Lieutenant Deho sent a new message across the galaxy, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is New Sol Station. We were attacked by the Vorthak Empire. We held our ground. Human forces came to our aid and drove off the invaders. We are protected. We are not alone. The message spread from system to system, carried by traders and diplomats and military couriers. Other species took notice. Humanity had announced itself as a force that protected its own, regardless of distance or odds. Some aliens found this admirable. Others found it terrifying. All of them took note. In the months that followed, New Sol Station was rebuilt stronger than before. A permanent human fleet base was established in the Kepler system. The colony became a symbol of human determination and a warning to those who would threaten human. Civilians. Commander Jiwan was promoted to admiral and given command of the new base. Dr. Hyeri continued her medical research, becoming a leading expert on alien neural weapons. Captain Minho became the base's flight commander, training pilots to protect the frontier. Teacher Minji returned to her classroom, but now she taught military history as well as regular subjects. Shop owner Sunho kept his hunting rifle displayed prominently in his store. Farmer Dojin grew crops to feed the new military garrison. The children who had been evacuated eventually returned to find their home defended by some of the best soldiers in human space. Little So-young grew up knowing that when terrible things happened, ordinary people could become heroes. And throughout the galaxy, other species learned a new truth about humanity. They would fight for each other across any distance, against any odds with whatever weapons they could find. They did not abandon their own, and they did not forget their friends. The Vorthak Empire, for its part, quietly removed human colonies from their target lists. Some fights, they realized, were not worth picking. In the void between stars, new signals continued to travel at the speed of light, but now they carried a different message. This is human space. We protect our own. Test us at your own risk. The galaxy had learned to take humans seriously, and for 50,000 colonists on a distant mining world,